Welcome back to the first verse of the Haftara, the elected reading from the prophets that is added after the reading of the Torah. And today we have a very interesting discussion, as this week we are about to read the weekly portion of Acharei Mot-Kedoshim, 2 weekly portions. And there is a big discussion. What do you read for the weekly portion of Acharei Mot, and what do you read for the weekly portion of Kedoshim, and what do you read when they come together? And there are about 10 different opinions. As you remember, the Haftara was not as set of a practice as the weekly portion itself, and so there are different traditions. I went here with one of these traditions, which is Ezekiel 22, verses 1 to 16 or 1 to 19. And we'll read it once in Hebrew regularly, once with a melody, and then we'll talk about some grammatical issues. And let's start. Vayhi devar Adonai elai lemor, ve'ata ven adam, hatishpot et ir haddamim, vehoda'ata et kol to'avoteha. And now with a melody. Vayhi devar Adonai elai lemor, ve'ata ven adam, hatishpot et ir hadamim, vehoda'ta et kol to'avoteha. I recommend and remind you that you can join our biblical Hebrew reading groups and become a Hebrew reader course, and you've got some of the details in the description of the video. And now I want to talk about some grammatical points about these verses. So verse 1 is pretty straightforward. Vayhi devar Adonai elai lemor, very common. I'm not going to touch it too much. Now, ve'ata ven adam is a specific name that is the book of Ezekiel has for Ezekiel. God is calling Ezekiel son of man, ben Adam. And now hatishpot, here you can see the interrogative hey, followed by second person masculine singular form of the yiktol verb tishpot. And this is an interrogative, yes, no question. Will you judge? Will you adjudicate? Will you inform the judgments? Okay, tishpot can have a rebuking, reprimanding context to it. Note that the word hatishpot, this verb preceded by the interrogative hey, is repeated twice. Now, generally speaking, the repetition of a certain element twice in the Hebrew text is oftentimes indicative of emphasis. However, it could be what textual criticism experts refer to as ditography. I'm sure you had that experience when you wrote text we don't write as much as we used to do. We type, we dictate, I don't know what you do, but it happens that you write a word twice. This is called ditography, writing something twice. And indeed, in some of the manuscripts of the Septuagint, especially in those considered to be the Old Greek text, a group of manuscripts of the Septuagint, BOC2, E2, never mind which manuscripts, are considered to reflect the Old Greek, and this is missing. Oh, there is only one. Will you judge the city of blood, and not twice? Okay, that's a little bit about that. Also, some of the manuscripts of the Syriac, the Peshitta, the Aramaic, Christian Aramaic translation of the Bible. So hatishpot, we've talked about that, either ditography or emphasis. Ir haddamim, the city of blood. Now the word dam or damim, the word damim is the plural of the word dam. Sometimes the form of the plural designates the blood when it is in a form of dispersion. It's not inside the people it's supposed to be. Remember, if you have the same amount of blood in Jerusalem, be that in the veins of people, as that's the normal place of the blood, or God forbid, in case of murder, when it is pools of blood or stains of blood, blood shed on the floor of the city, on the ground. But the plural form might actually refer to a blood that is shed. You have the same in Genesis 4:10, when God says, "Kol demei achicha zoakim elai min ha'adama." Okay, the blood of your brother, the one that is shed. Okay, not the one that is within his body, within his veins. So that's the plural form, and sometimes it refers to blood that is shed, not the blood inside a person. V'hoda'ata et kol to'avoteha. So we have two examples of the third person feminine singular pronominal suffix. Okay, one of these is suffix to a verb. V'hoda'ata. You should make her that is the city, goes back to the city, which is feminine. You should let her know. So v'hoda'ata is her in the sense of being the accusative, being the object of the verb. Okay? Et kol to'avoteha, all its abominations, obviously her abominations because it refers to the city. So here we have the same third person feminine singular pronominal suffix, but at the end of a noun, not at the end of a verb. So usually the pronominal suffix at the end of a verb indicates the object of the verb, and pronominal suffix at the end of a noun indicates the possessor of that noun. Okay, a genitive relationship. So it is her abomination. Let her know. In English, we use the pronoun her, both for the accusative and for the genitive. Here, note that when added to a verb, it's the accusative usually, and when added to a noun, it's the genitive, the possession relationship. Now, let's not finish without a question. So the weekly portion of Acharei Mot, again, we read both portions, Acharei Mot and Kedoshim, opens after the death of the two sons of Aaron, Nadav va'Avihu, Aaron the priest. I want to ask you, which priest in the prophets loses his two sons also on the same day, and under which circumstances? And I will see you next week.